everybody, it's Emily at Arc Schooling, and today is when I'm going to pick out my November TBR. So all year I've been using my TBR jar to kind of generate my TBR, to figure out what I'm going to read. This is my way of like forcing myself to read the things on my shelves. And so far, so good. I feel like it's not a perfect system because I still read lots of other things too, but it has pushed me to pick things up off my shelves that I have been like staring at for ages. Let's dig right in today and see what I'm going to be reading in November. So I'm just going to like do a little mix up here. And I'm going to pick two because I like to have options. So there's one and two. Okay, so let's see what I pulled first. Oh, I hope it's good. Ooh, okay. Social media made me buy it. These are books that I purchased based on Bookstagram, YouTube, wherever people were like talking about a book that it made me want to buy it. So that's a maybe. There's a lot of things on there that I'm like, yeah, I do want to read those. Let's just see what this one is, just to see if I change my mind. Ooh, okay. This one is, I really liked one of this author's books, so I purchased more. Oh gosh, there are so many authors on here that I've been meaning to read that I haven't. Oh gosh, now I don't know what to do. Give me a second here. I have things on here like things I've already read, but I have like Bunny on the social media one that I've been dying to read for ages. What else is on here? If We Were Villains. Some of these I've already read. Like I've read a bunch of them so far, so maybe I won't go with this one. This one is a good idea because this is going to force me to pick up. Yeah, you know what? Okay, I've decided. I do want to mark that one though. But okay, so I'm going to do, I loved one of this author's books, so I'm going to read something else by them. Oh gosh, so just to give you guys an idea of what I'm looking at here, I have Sabaa Tahir, Jillian Cantor, Sarah Waters, Margaret George, Louise Erdrich, Bernard Cornwell, Maeve Binchy, and the Lady Janie series. I'm mainly picking this because I own all of the Lady Janies and Lady Mary books, and I have only read one of them, but I have been dying to pick one up. So, okay, that's what I'm reading this month. I'm reading authors that I've enjoyed one book and then went and bought like everything they've ever written. So let me go build my TBR. Okay, I am back. I have collected the things. I'm going to start by saying I'm not going to get to everything I'm showing you. I have a lot. But these are all potentials. Now, I'm going to start with the things that I know for sure I'm going to read this month. And really there's only one that is like, I'm definitely going to read that. And that is Gold Mountain by Betty G. Yee. This is the last thing that I have to read if I'm going to finish the Build Your Library Reading Challenge. This is my book for the prompt to read a book with an element in the title. So I need to make this happen. This isn't a long book, so I'm hoping that it's good. All I know is that this is about a person growing up in 1860s China, and I believe they come to California and what their experience is like. That's really all I know, but I've been wanting to pick this up for a while, so I'm going to make this happen. And I lied. I did have one other book that I am definitely reading in November, and that is Healer of the Water Monster by Brian Young. This is hopefully going to be the next Lit Bite. I'm hoping to get this done soon. I wanted to get this done in October, but it didn't happen. So definitely in November. So these are the only two guarantees. Now let's get to everything else, because there's a lot. So let's talk about authors that I read a book that I enjoyed and purchased a whole bunch of stuff because isn't that what I do? I collect the things. I buy all the books. So let's start with Gillian Cantor. I've read, what was the book that I read by Gillian Cantor that I loved? Oh, I read Beautiful Little Fools. I had heard of Gillian Cantor. I actually owned, I think, a book by her that I hadn't read yet. But I read Beautiful Little Fools, which is her Great Gatsby retelling, and it blew me away. One of my favorite books of all time. So I immediately purchased more things. So I have 3 possibilities. I could read Margot, which is an alternate history in which, what if Margot Frank, sister of Anne Frank, survived and made her way to America and then had to like change her name and pretend she was somebody else because she just didn't want to think about what had happened to her and her family. I've had this on my shelf for ages, and part of me is afraid to read it because I just know that it's gonna hurt me. And I've kept putting it off, and maybe I should read this. This is the one I've owned the longest. Half-Life, and this is a sort of like dual, I don't want to say timelines because it's not dual timelines, it's like dual universes. One in which Marie Curie lives out the life we know she lived, and one in which she makes a different choice. So I'm intrigued by this story. Marie Curie is somebody that I've always found fascinating, and so I'm very curious to see what she did here. And then I also have The Lost Letter, and I don't remember what this one's about. I think this has to do with the Holocaust. Yeah, it's dual timelines. So you're in Austria in 1938 and Los Angeles in 1989, and I think the person in 1989 is going through her family's possessions or something, and she stumbles on some letters and learns about her family's history. So I don't know which one I'm gonna read, but one of these is gonna definitely happen because Gillian Cantor is an author that I do really want to read from. Let's see, Saba Tahir. I don't have it in me to do anything from her series, An Ember in the Ashes, because I've read An Ember in the Ashes and I did really love it. But I don't think my brain is in the right place for that now because I would have to go back and reread. It's been too long. And I don't want to do that right now. So I happen to have All My Rage though, which is her first like contemporary standalone. And I think my brain can handle that. I think this would be an easier read. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to try to make this happen. I don't even know exactly what this is. I know it's a contemporary story about somebody who is, I think, Pakistani American. And that's all I got. But I've heard good things. Then, Lady Janie's. I read My Lady Jane years ago, and I loved it. It was just so cute and fun. So this is a series written by 3 different authors, and they just kind of, they're fun. They're fluffy, fun, light reading. It's historical fantasy, which is something I've loved but don't read enough of. And like, I loved that so much that I've been collecting every book as it comes out. Like, I pre-order them, and then I haven't read any of them. So I didn't grab all of them, but I grabbed the ones that I'm the most interested in. So I have My Plain Jane, which is their take on Jane Eyre. Then I have 2 Mary books. They have the Lady Janie's trilogy and the Mary trilogy. And so for the Mary trilogy, I have My Contrary Mary. This one is about Mary, Queen of Scots. And My Imaginary Mary, which I'm the most excited about, I think, out of all of them. And this one is a Mary Shelley retelling. All of these are so silly. They're full of comedy. They're full of like goofy, lighthearted stuff. Like in My Lady Jane is about Lady Jane Grey, who is a very tragic character. And they turn her story into just a fun romp with shape-shifting people, and she survives the end. So, like, I needed that. I don't know. Sometimes you just need something silly. So I feel like one of these is definitely going to happen. I don't know which one. I might do, like, 1 chapter from each and see which one pulls me in. Bernard Cornwell. I've read 2 of his books. One of them I've read 3 of his books, excuse me. I read Agincourt, which I loved. I love that book. It just like was the kind of historical fiction that I love. It really sucks you into the story. Great heroes and villains and all of that. Just a really compelling story about the Battle of Agincourt. So I, of course, went to my library immediately after that and grabbed another book and ended up reading like the 4th book in the Saxon Tales series, not knowing that it was part of a series. So then, of course, I had to read the first book. And I've always meant to go back and read all of those, but I feel like what I want to read the most right now is The Winter King, because we're watching that on TV and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm like, I really wish that I'd read this first. But you know what? I can still read it because I'm sure it's different. Like, art adaptation's always very different. So I'm hoping that I will like this. I think I own the whole trilogy. So if I do like this, I could read the rest of it. And then, like, I'll be ahead of the game when the new season comes out. So this is his Arthurian legend retelling, which is very much a more realistic portrayal of that time. And, like, his books are all really gritty and kind of dark, but also very compelling characters. I only have 2 more authors, and these really are just possibilities. I don't know what I'm going to do, if I'm going to get to these or not, but they're both kind of short, so maybe. I have The Marrow Thieves by Sherry Dimmeline. I've started this. This was a DNF, not because I didn't enjoy it, just it wasn't the right time, so I put it down. So I do really want to pick this back up and finish it. I just read her newest book that I cannot think of the name of, The Secret Garden retelling, and I really liked that. So I want to go back and I want to read this. And then I have a Becky Chambers. I have read a couple of Becky Chambers books. I really love the first book in the Wayfarer series. What is it called? Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I loved that. I probably should pick up the next book in that series, but then I'm like, wait, I have this. It's a novella. That's a better option. So this is To Be Taught If Fortunate. I don't actually know what this is about at all. I just know it's a novella, and it's something to do with space. So that's a strong possibility. Then things that are not anything to do with my TBR jar selection. I still really wanted to read the new Riley Sager. I don't know, it didn't happen in October, but maybe in November, possibly. I have the only one left. I want this to be good. This is like a gothic thriller set in the 80s about a woman who is a caretaker to this woman who, her whole family died, I think. There was some kind of a massacre, and she's never talked about it. And that's all I know. So I would like to read that. This next one is a strong contender because the adaptation is coming out and I've never read the book, but I have this thing where, like, if it's a book that I want to read, I cannot watch the adaptation until I've read the book. Like, I won't let myself do it. So I saw the trailer for this and thought, I should probably read it. And that is All the Light We Cannot See. I've had this book by Anthony Doerr. I've had this book on my shelf for ages. And I've been afraid to read it because I feel like this is like such an overhyped book. Like, it's on every book list. Everyone raves about this, and I'm kind of scared that I will not like it. And I hate reading overhyped books because I inevitably don't enjoy it, and then I feel bad for not liking the thing that everyone else likes. But it seems like the chapters are all really short. I have an audiobook. Maybe I can make this happen before I watch the movie. And then the last book is, I really wanted to read this in November. I've kind of been saving it for November. And this is The Lost Journals of Sacagawea, a novel by Deborah Magpie Erling. And this is journals. It's literally a novel in epistolary form. It's as if Sacagawea were keeping a diary about their travels with Lewis and Clark, and I'm so intrigued by this book because this is a thing that I've been lamenting we don't have for forever. Like, I've always wondered why no one wrote something like this. Every single book I've ever read that had Sacagawea in it was written by a white person, written by someone telling it from the perspective of Lewis and Clark or somebody else in their expedition. So, like, I've always wanted to read something like this. So I've been holding on to it for November. So I'm reading it in November. I'm going to try to make this happen. It's short as well. So I'm thinking it would be a relatively quick read. So yeah, I have a pretty gigantic TBR. And I don't know, I was gonna try to pick it up. I don't know if I can do it. Yeah, so I have a lot of possibilities for November. I don't know what I'll actually get to, but I would love to say I'm gonna read all of it. That isn't gonna happen, but I would love to say it. So we'll see. I'll update you guys later as to what I actually do get through. I mean, if you follow me on Instagram, I usually post about what I'm reading there, so we'll see what actually makes the cut. But what are you planning to read in the month of November? I would love to hear about it. Let me know down below in the comments and we can chat. If you read anything here that you think I should absolutely prioritize, you let me know, because I have given myself a lot of choices and I don't know. Let me know if there's anything that you're like, oh, definitely that. I need to hear it. I need to know what I should pick up. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button so you can stay tuned for more of my videos. And I would love it if you hit the like as well. That's always helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Happy reading. Bye.